Welcome to Dynasty Playbook. Rarely professional, but always entertaining. I'm your host, Drew. You can find me on Twitter at DrewDotsonNFL. With me is my co-host, Tyler. You can find him on Twitter at HBombIDP. And with us is our special guest this week, Nathan at NPowellFF. I'm pretty sure you know him from everything. Welcome to the show, guys. Nate, glad to have you on.
Yo, I'm here. I'm excited. Let's do this thing.
Let's party. Tyler?
Yeah, finally, long overdue. Long overdue. We've been talking about having Nathan Powell on for ever and ever, but the procrastinators that we are, we, managed to drag things out forever and ever. So let's do this.
We're so bad about it.
It's just the worst.
I've been on a lot of podcasts, but I've never had to beg more to be on a podcast than this one. I slid into their DMs like 8 times, saying, "Yo guys, when am I gonna be on? When am I gonna be on?" And then like 2 weeks ago, they DM me, "Hey Nathan, you want to be on this week?" And of course that was the 1 week I was on vacation. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So then once I got back, we're like, "All right, we got to get this done."
Yeah, and it's not like, oh man, should we really let Nathan on the show? It's always just like, yeah, we should totally have Nathan on the show. And then like Friday rolls around, it's like, what?
Yeah.
I have no idea what we're talking.
It's either I'm not feeling it or let's record in 5 minutes with no prep whatsoever.
Zero prep. There's never any prep, let's be honest.
Yeah, there's just almost none. I say almost none. None. Zero.
The only prep we ever do is we watch the tape, and most of the time we do that while we're sitting in the Google chat together before the show starts. It's bad. But hey, let's touch on a couple of things that happened this week. Von Miller finally got a contract. Tyler, I'm sure you're super stoked about that. 6 years, all the cap room. But where's your thoughts there?
Well, I mean, obviously, if you're Vaughn, you don't want to play under the tag. He's going to be 1 year older, chance of getting injured, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, he was going to get paid. We were going to pay him. So, yeah, I mean, we just inked a top 5 player in the NFL. The MVP of the playoffs. So, good get. Even though he's an Aggie, I like Von Miller because he's converted to the orange and blue.
And all that IDP value.
Yeah, zero, none.
Yeah, as many people know, I'm an IDP expert, and my Von Miller take is he's good at football. So there we go.
He do be good. That's for sure. And our other news is Arian Foster signed a 1-year deal with the Dolphins, throwing way more questions into who do I want between Kenyon Drake and Jay Ajayi, and I think the answer now is nobody. I want nothing, and I'm going to avoid it at all costs.
I don't know. I mean, Arian, what are you going to get? 3-4 games out of him?
Tops.
And then you're going to have the week that you start him, and he goes out in the first quarter, pulls up lame. So as far as long-term value, it doesn't affect really either of them very much anyway. Drake was the guy that I wanted because he was cheap, and he came with a little bit of draft pedigree, which very few of the rookies this year have. So I still think Drake's the target that I want, in PPR leagues, which is all we play. So whatever. Jai just scares the ever-loving shit out of me. Has since the draft last year.
Yeah, my outlook on the signing is that if you have Arian Foster on your team, you probably still can't really even sell for much in the Dynasty format. In redraft, this becomes I'll let someone else deal with it. But when it comes to Dynasty, I think there is a bit of a buy window for both Drake and Ajayi, and so it kind of just depends on what the price is. But more often than not, this signing really doesn't mean much for Dynasty values.
Really, what it told me more so was what the coaching staff felt about both running backs. If they're this averse to having even just those two split the backfield, it probably means they're taking a running back in 17. And there's more than enough backs in the class that can replace Drake and Ajayi, even if they aren't taking the first 3, 4, 5 of them off the board. So even to me, they become less than ideal dynasty assets.
Well, yeah, but Drake to me, the reason he's not even super attractive to me, but somewhat attractive to me is he could always kind of have a PPR niche. Not necessarily a Gio Bernard, but like a Gio Bernard, like a Danny Woodhead, a guy that can catch 3, 4, 5 balls in any given week. So just Whatever, man. I mean, Arian Foster, I love Arian Foster, and I have him on one roster, and he's going to die on it. He always was going to die on that roster, so maybe I roll him out a couple times this year.
Yeah, so essentially what you're telling me is Kenyon Drake is Chris Thompson.
Hey, if he's Chris Thompson, I'm okay with that.
I'm not spending a second-round pick on Chris Thompson, though.
What are you going to spend a second rounder on this year?
Mike Thomas?
Good Mike Thomas. Here we go. Here we go.
Any of the other running backs? Howard, friggin' Dixon's going too high. Now, I'd rather have Perkins over Drake, because I like winning.
Yeah, but, no, I said yeah, no.
We do that shit all the time, so don't worry.
Yeah, I know, but it's becoming a thing recently where it's been pointed out to me, so I say it every time I say it. Anyways, with Drake, the main thing, the reason why I liked him in rookie drafts, and everyone's done their rookie drafts by now, so no one really cares where I picked him in rookie drafts, but I picked him, in that around that 2-3 turn. I know there's not a turn in rookie drafts, but you know what I mean. And I think he was a nice value there simply because he was the third running back off the board. So many times I hear people say that Procise was. Nope, Drake, for some reason, was the third running back off the board in the 2016 NFL Draft.
You see, I can get down with him at that price. At the end of the second, I'm all about that. But Tyler's taking him at like the 204.
No, I'm not. Go look at the drafts, Drew.
Liar.
Go look at the drafts. I'm getting him like 23rd, 24th overall in MPLB. I got him in the third round. And just like Nathan said, I mean, in a lackluster class, let me ride that draft pedigree because what the hell else is there? It just makes my stomach hurt to take a day 3, 6th round wide receiver at that point when the third running back off the board is still available, especially with some PPR chops.
See, the problem with that is comparing you taking him at the end of the second and Nathan taking him at the end of the second is you're taking him in IDP leagues and Nathan is not.
Oh, God, I hate you.
Am I wrong? Because
You are correct. You are correct. So I guess you could technically call him a.
Let's call it 206.
That's about right because we've got about 3 linebackers off the board.
3 linebackers, a safety or 2, an end. Bosa's gone around that late second. But either Neal or Joseph or Cravens. Cravens when he was going as a safety. But it's about the 206. Let's just settle on it there.
We're probably looking at a bunch of bums anyway. So
this class is hot garbage. So speaking of classes that are not hot garbage, let's move on to our college player discussion for the 2017 class. We're going to do Jordan Villeman, who's wide receiver out of Oregon State. He's a redshirt junior. He'll be 22 at the start of the 17 season. And really the main appeal of him is he's 6'4", 240, which is good. Unfortunately, all those things that wide receivers do, he does not do good. His hands are shitty. His cuts are good. I'll give him that. He's got decent jump ball, but he can't track the ball for shit. And overall, I'm just not excited at all about him. He's one of those guys where if I can get him in the third round, I'll take the shot, but he's not going to be going in the third round. I'd be willing to bet.
In the third round of an NFL draft or a rookie draft? Just to clarify.
Rookie draft.
Holy moly, you are something else, Mr. Drew. Here we go. I've got to school you here.
Teach me. I want to learn today.
You're going to learn today that Jordan Villeman is going to be a late first, early second in rookie drafts in one of the best rookie classes we've seen in recent memory. Jordan Villeman, he is next year's Leonte Carew, a guy who is on an absolute trash offense and an absolute trash team who is putting up some numbers. Yes, he doesn't have the 1,200, 1,300-yard season because it's not possible because in the 2015 season, the Oregon State passing offense had less than 2,000 passing yards. So Villeman had a huge market share, over 30%, and also a huge market share of the touchdowns. They only had 10 passing touchdowns in 2015. He had 6 of those. So that's very Leonte Carew-esque, and he's huge, and he's relatively young for a guy. He's a redshirt junior, and he's only going to be 22 at the start of his NFL career. I know a lot of people like to look at the the 21-year-olds that are entering the NFL, and he would have been if he had left after his redshirt sophomore season. So he's young in that way, big, and productive in a bad offense.
You see, for me, the offense, the numbers don't even faze me. It's all about just watching him as a player. I understand that offense is all about rushing the ball, and it's part of the reason it made it super frustrating to watch because there's no draft breakdown tape, so I have to sift through every offensive play Oregon State runs, and it's run play after run play after run play. But when he's running routes, when he's catching the ball, I was just not that interested. And I see no way he's going to be a late first, early second when there's going to be at least 6 running backs to go over him, and let's see, 4 wide receivers minimum, 5 if Dural goes over him, and this is not even including guys that are going to break out at the last minute, like Kevin White.
See, I see that he'll compete for wide receiver 3. I think that Juju Smith and Corey Davis are the lock for the top 2. And I'm not as huge on Cortland Sutton as some people, and the guys in that range. So I think that wide receiver 3 is definitely up for grabs in that class. And obviously, there's the Kevin Whites of the world. But as far as players that we actually know about right now, I think that Villeman is a possibility for wide receiver 3.
So much Malachi Dupree disrespect. So much.
It's hard. It's a cool fucking name too, Malachi Dupree. I just want to rank him number 1 overall based on name.
Yeah, there's no way Corey Davis is locked into in this class. Not a chance.
He is right now.
Okay, and that's because most of our information is coming from Devy guys, and our main Devy guy has him as the number 1.
Nick does love him some Corey Davis. Corey Davis is smooth as silk, man. What about Mike Williams not getting any love, though? I mean, Mike Williams got to be in the conversation.
Well, I didn't like Mike Williams last year either, so.
I definitely think Williams is in the conversation. I just worry about neck issues are kind of like concussions. I don't like messing with things around the head. It usually ends badly because if they get hit in the neck again, paralyzed. Yeah. I don't know. It's just bad news messing with that area of the body. But if we have a healthy year of Mike Williams, then most likely he'll be selected ahead of Villeman and ahead of Cortland Sutton. And you were talking about Nick. Harmon is the bump of dynasty receivers, but Nick actually single-handedly gave Cortland Sutton Devy value. Nobody had ever heard of Cortland Sutton before Nick started tweeting about him, and then he was getting selected top 5 in Devy drafts. I was like, what's going on? I didn't even know who this guy was 5 minutes ago.
That's what.
I live in Dallas, and I've never heard of the guy. And Drew and I were in a Devy draft, and we're like, all right, what do we do with the Sutton guy? So it was right after Nick released the Devy. We both just kind of, I don't know. We probably screwed up there. Who did we go with? We went with Ridley, I think, over Sutton.
I think we did. And I'm okay with that. Ridley is super good.
# old.
Yeah.
No shit, man. He's Brandon Cooks' older weird uncle.
I wish I could be Brandon Cooks' older weird uncle.
You already are.
Yeah. I gotta figure out. I need to turn Mormon so I can marry into that family.
That's an odd request.
The Brandon Cooks love goes way past any rationality or reason. It's pure love. That's all it is. And then he got drafted by the Saints, and it was just written in the stars. And now I can't remember what I was gonna say. Fuck. Oh. The same thing happened with Mike Thomas when, holy shit, I'm blanking on the name. The RSP guy, Matt Waldman.
That guy.
Oh, when Matt Waldman started pumping him up, it went from, hey, I'm totally going to be getting this guy in the 4th round to, hey guys, look who's the 2nd round pick. Because, I very rarely get the insider scoop on players from Southern Miss, but apparently there's one this year that everybody wants him. Well, get in line. I wanted him first. But we're actually we have a guy on the You know, fucking not allowed to talk anymore because I can't think of words.
Oh, goodness.
Let's move on to submitted questions for this week so other people can talk. And the first one comes from @Fife1919. Who is Nathan's Twitter arch nemesis and why?
Well, with all the memes lately, it's all of Twitter. But back in the day when my boy Aaron Swinderman, he was on Twitter a lot more, about a year and a half ago, and we were arch nemesis. He'd troll me constantly. But now Aaron, he's not on Twitter as much, so I've kind of had to develop more or different arch enemies. I definitely say that Dan, my fellow co-host of Dynasty Tradecast, he is one of my Twitter arch nemesis, and we'll just go with Dan because he held that contest just for people to put my face on things. So I mean, he gave away a shirt just to make fun of me.
That's fantastic, and I really wish I paid attention to Twitter more often when it's not like just straight into my timeline or straight into my mentions because I miss things like that, and now I'm sad. But I remember the point I was going to make. It's we have a player that's on the Bolitnikov award list. I couldn't remember Bolitnikov, which I'm all right with that. But DJ Thompson's definitely a guy you guys need to keep a watch out on this year. He's going to be sneaky. Sneaky.
All right.
Tyler, you're gonna hate me around March of next year for doing the same thing I did to Mike Thomas.
We're gonna end up doing this again. Hey, I mean, if he's good, he's good, right?
Hey,
the Longhorns are fucking terrible and have been for a while, so you don't have to hear anything from me about them. It's so bad.
We went back to winning, so I'm kind of excited.
Marlon Mack, guys, go Bulls.
Marlon Mack. Whenever I think of USF, it's Matt Grothe.
That's my dude.
Yeah, he was. Dude, I used to wreck shop with Matt Grothe on the NCAA video game, the lefty.
Oh, Grothe wasn't a lefty.
Was he not?
No, he was a righty.
Damn it. Why do I think he was a lefty?
Because back when Grothe was playing, like all the running quarterbacks were lefty, and that's why they were badass on like Madden and stuff. Like I mean, pretty much Vic, and I'm sure there was a couple others that I'm forgetting, but a lot of running quarterbacks were lefty back when Grothe was wrecking stuff.
He just struck me as a lefty. Anyway, foot in mouth. Let's move on. Next question, or a couple questions from our buddy Pat @RavageFF, who is a good guy. First question, is Derrick Henry good? Is Derrick Henry good? Yeah, I think Derrick Henry's good. I mean, seems pretty black and white to me. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't think he's going to do much this year because he's got shithead ahead of him. But, yeah, I think Derrick Henry's going to be fine fantasy back.
He's going to be fine. He's going to be good. I'm okay with those evaluations. Once it gets into great and amazing, no. He's going to be just fine, and that's about all I'm willing to give on this.
Well, your boy Leonard Fournette is going to get Derrick Henry because this shiny new toy thing with Leonard Fournette not being the same thing as Derrick Henry, people are going to learn at the Combine that Leonard Fournette is Derrick Henry. Hashtag takes.
Oh, God. I'm already regretting this. We're not even, but 20 minutes into this, and I'm ready to fight Nathan. Disrespecting Dupree, disrespecting Fournette. These are fighting words where I come from.
Well, it's more saying that Twitter overreacted by, making Derrick Henry a mid-first-round pick in rookie drafts because Derrick Henry was every bit the prospect that Fournette was last year, and Henry won the Heisman. So, yeah, you can shake your head all you want. Derrick Henry is great, and DeMarco Murray's going to lose his job by week 3. Derrick Henry's going to be in a great young offense for a long time, and I'm going to be winning many championships because he's on all my teams.
I drafted a bunch of Derrick Henry. I'm not disagreeing with you. He's definitely not Leonard Fournette. He was not best running back out of his recruiting class good.
Yes, he was. He's the best high school running back in history.
Derrick Henry.
No high school running back has rushed for more yards than Derrick Henry. He rushed for 10,000 rushing yards in 4 high school seasons. He is the most insane high school prospect ever. You can
Tyler, he's doing the thing with the numbers again.
Oh man, not numbers. Don't do metrics next, or we're just gonna have to shut her down.
We're so bad at numbers.
I remember watching a high school game of Derrick Henry on one team and Kelvin Taylor was on the other, and both these dudes were just give them the ball, man. They're gone. But I don't know. I think Henry's going to be just fine, but I just don't know. But I do agree with Nathan where you get that time around draft time, and it's time to just start poking holes in everything and everybody. And Henry went under the microscope more than anyone I can remember in a long time. I mean, people are just looking for reasons not to like him, and then the people that liked him were looking for reasons to love him. So, in a lot of drafts, in a lot of rookies, I got him at like 110 in a draft. And that's just like auto draft for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So, I don't know. I mean, I like the guy just fine. I mean, I'm not killing myself to go get him, but I think he's going to be a good back. And we know how we feel about DeMarco Murray on this podcast. So, yeah. Just not a fan, man. Just not a fan. Anyway, we got another question from Pat. This one is for Nathan. Nathan, why haven't you made the leap into IDP yet? Now, we got Pat into IDP this year, so he's officially at Ravage IDP. So, Nathan, what's up, man?
All right. I spend way too much time on fantasy football as it is. If I had to learn like coverages and 3-4 versus 4-3 and the second DT for the Houston Texans, I'd have no life and I'd hate fantasy football. So that is why I don't play IDP.
To be fair, I don't know who the second DT is for Houston either.
I do. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I get that. There are plenty of people that don't like it for one reason or another. But most people that I speak to or that I talk to, that we drag them into an IDP league, they've never played before. They may not love it, but they don't mind it. They like it. Look at the Couch Coach league we did last year. We had like 6 IDP noobs in that league, and they just soaked it up. They love it now. So, but yeah, there is a lot more work. What's that?
They used all of your rankings against you in that draft.
I didn't get anybody I wanted. It was horrible. But that's the downside of published rankings. But yeah, I mean the work in season, it's for real. Especially when you're trying to set lineups and make waiver claims. Yeah, I probably spend 4, 5, 6 hours a week just staring at a computer screen in season. But during the off season, it's pretty cut and dry.
I don't do nearly that much work. I normally just let Tyler tell me. But he doesn't tell me because we're in the same leagues together, so.
Yeah, fuck you, that's why.
I get the
I'll tell you how good this guy is after I acquire him.
Yeah, that's pretty much
and then watch him flop.
I'm super lazy about it.
I don't know. It's a sadistic pleasure for me. I enjoy it, but it's weird. I mean, we are definitely IDP guys are the psychopaths.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to our next question. Comes from @StealinPoints03. His question is Colts wide receivers this year and moving forward, and we're notorious Moncrief fans here, so I'm going to go and say he's going to be the number one for this year and going forward with the Colts. Hilton's going to have his role for a very, very long time. I think he's going to turn. His volume's going to go down just enough to where he's not going to be getting 90 balls a season, but he's still going to be fairly effective with what he gets. He's going to be fantasy wide receiver 2 probably. And then Dorsett is just going to be the sad little man sitting there, soaking up hand-me-down targets. And then there's Dwayne Allen, who, God, he's so good. Or, no, he's not.
I was wondering where Tyler went for a second. I was like, wait, hold on.
He probably ran out of cigarettes.
Oh, bad for your belly button. Anyways, So my view on the Colts wide receiver situation, we actually talked about all three of them on the Dynasty Tradecast a few weeks ago. Check out the Dynasty Dudes episode of the Tradecast. It's very confusing, but do that if you want my full breakdown, but I'll go through it here. I think that Moncrief is definitely the most overvalued of the group. I think that he's being priced closer to his ceiling than his floor. Hilton is going to be Hilton. He's not going to stop being what he's been the last 4 or 5 years, and he has the long-term deal. The Colts have faith in him, and the value to be had in the Colts offense is Philip Dorsett. There is the chance that Philip Dorsett is nothing, but at the 10th, 11th round startup price tag, he's just the upside is very high. The upside is almost as high as Moncrief, and it may seem a bit hyperbolic, but it's the difference. The price difference between Moncrief and Dorsett is puzzling to me. There's no way it should be like a 7-8 round difference for me.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, R.E. Moncrief, and we kind of talked about this. He saw this huge value surge over the last couple months, and what really happened to make this value surge come about? Do I think he has a potential to be a wide receiver 1 or a top 15, 18 wideout? Yeah, I do. I mean, it's all there. It's there for the taking. But outside of the Harmon bump, and I guess that's the only thing that's going on here, I mean, he has just skyrocketed in price. And it's a little bit bizarre for me, especially as someone who likes Moncrief. But what has he really done to earn this? I mean, he's probably, a third-round startup pick in offense only now would be my guess. I mean, if you want him, you probably got to get him in the top 30 picks would be my guess.
Yeah, definitely.
I haven't looked at the ADP, but I'm a little bit leery about him for sure, but that's not going to keep me from, I've got him rostered all over the place. Obviously, I didn't pay third-round startup price for him, but, it's just a little bit bizarre for me. And then, T.Y. Hilton, I'm not a big T.Y. Hilton fan, but he's certainly a viable fantasy asset. He's young enough. He's another one of those small receivers that tend to play longer, and they've got Andrew Luck chucking the ball 700 times a year, most likely, because they're going to have no running game whatsoever because Frank Gore is just done. So, it's a little bit bizarre. Dorsett for me, never been a Dorsett guy. He's that type of receiver that I fade. But I agree with Nathan at that cost of what you're able to get him, probably just outside the top 100 or around the 100 spot, first-round draft pick. He was a first-round draft pick in that offense, so I get it.
I definitely, when it comes to the value of each of them, I mean, the cost compared to what they can contribute, I definitely like Dorsett as a buy. But just in terms of who I envision being the productive ones, for me, it's going to be Moncrief and Hilton. And Moncrief, the way Moncrief is being valued right now is very similar to how Parker is being valued. They're being valued a lot on what they haven't done yet. And, we're all about the youth and the upside and all that, but to an extent, I mean, we've got so many good young wide receivers out there that have done it. I mean, Jordan Matthews, despite playing in a dysfunctional offense, despite not being good by most people's accounts, was still, the wide receiver 17? And he's going under probably both of them. It's just... It defies explanation. I would rather have Moncrief over Parker right now, based on where both their values are. But you're going off of 4 or 5 weeks of Moncrief with Luck and trying to extrapolate that to a full season, and it's iffy at best. And the only reason I even support as much as I do is because my value on him was so high. Now the thing that bothers me the most when Dorsett came out was people were saying, Dorsett's this first-round pick, Moncrief's this third-round pick. But you also you can't compare them straight up because they're different classes. Moncrief probably would have been, close to a first-round pick in the 15 class, second-round pick at worst, whereas Dorsett probably would have been a third-round pick in the 14 class. So the draft, I have a hard problem comparing the draft pedigree for the two of them.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, would I be surprised if Moncrief's a first-round startup pick this time of the year? No, I wouldn't be surprised. But would I be surprised if he dropped 750 yards this year on 50 catches? I don't think that would surprise me either. I mean, I do think he will eclipse that. However, it's like I hate the word hype. I hate it. I wish we need to find another word for it. But the hype train's a little bit out of control. But I still love the player. It's just I'm trying to put my finger on why this value surge has come about in the last couple months.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're good on
All
that.
right. We got that? All right. That's on this one from our buddy Alex. I did not see this question until just now. At Draft Riot, Alex is awesome. What is the worst trade offer you've gotten from the aforementioned at Ravage FF? We're all in leagues with Pat, and it's just excruciating to trade with Pat. So, Drew,
All right.
what do you got? Or Nathan, whoever wants to go first. What's your worst offer?
Okay, this isn't necessarily my worst offer because I've gotten a lot of bad offers from Pat, but this is the most fun story to share with the people. So it was middle of the rookie draft. The 110 was on the clock. I owned the 111. I offered the 111 in a 2017 fourth to a Rutgers alumni, and because Carew and Fuller were the two best players available at 110, 111. So I was like, okay, I'm guessing Pat's not going to go Carew here. I don't even know why I thought that, but I sent the guy the offer 111 in 2017 fourth, and he accepted it. I mean, 111 and a 2017 fourth for a 2017 first. He accepted that trade, and Pat was so mad because he would have done the exact same deal, but and he was a pick ahead, so obviously he could have taken Carew and tried to screw everything up. But what he did was he offered me a 110 and a 2017 fourth for the 2017 first that I had just acquired for 111 and a 2017 fourth.
That sounds about right.
Okay, and then eventually, so how this plays out is Pat ends up trading the 110. He's so furious that he ends up trading the 110 and stuff for Golden Tate, and then the guy who traded the 2017 first to get Carew ends up getting Carew, and the guy who traded Golden Tate ended up getting Fuller.
All right, so I actually found a couple of different options that are just so very good. These are all coming from the 2015 season. A couple of these are pre-NFL draft. My favorite one that I just found was he offered me Daron Carter for the 301. And we all know how much of a Daron Carter fan I was. Let's see. This is also pre-NFL draft, so this is before we know where Todd Gurley lands. Fred Jackson and a fifth for Trey Mason.
Oh, God.
This is post-NFL draft. Brett Hundley for a fourth in a 1 QB league. And what still might be my favorite... Oh, no. I missed one. He offers me Josh Hill for Kevin White.
That's a good one.
Oh, I know, right?
I like that.
Mid-season, he offers me Chris Ivory and a 17-second for Kevin White. So, Pat, you're on blast, dude. You should feel bad.
I fucked everything up, man.
You closed the window, didn't you?
I lost it. Yeah, I lost it. I mean, I had a good one. I mean, it was a nice one, and it was like in the rookie draft. Oh no, I remember it now off the top of my head. I own the 104 and the 101. He owns the 102. He offers me the his 102 for my 104 and a 17 first. And this is after we had talked ad nauseum with Pat about how we felt about the rookie draft, and the 102 is essentially equal to the 104, and they're certainly not a 17 first apart. So that was my worst Pat offer. That's not that bad.
I thought it was Bell for Parker and 3 firsts.
That was pretty bad, and that was after I had been trying to swing a deal with Pat, and he does not make the deal with me, and then he goes and acquires Le'Veon Bell, whom I had traded away a couple months prior, or during the season actually, and then he immediately starts trying to give me Le'Veon Bell. So, love you, Pat.
I don't love you, Pat. You're a horrible person. You make me angry.
Half of it is just fucking with us, man. And that's
He's
the
so
best
good
part.
at it. That's why I hate him.
The offers are just legit enough. You're like, this guy's legit. He's serious.
No, he sent me Fred Jackson in fifth for Trey Mason. There was no intention on being legit in some of these offers. That would send them to just see how pissed off he could make me. And it worked every time. All right, so let's hit up our next question. This one's actually kind of serious. Comes from our buddy Dylan at DT Lurch. Can you guys talk a little bit about potential points for determining draft order? Apparently Nathan has some things to say about potential points.
First of all, this wasn't a serious question, but I'm gonna give it a serious answer because he knows that Pat and I went off at each other for like 3 hours during a work day about potential points, and I came up with a parallel a couple hours ago, and or at least when I saw this. Okay, potential points is like when you go to or not this doesn't actually happen, but potential points is like if you went to a family reunion and there was a sign that said "Don't sleep with your cousin." So, if you have a cousin that needs to read that sign to know not to sleep with you, you don't want them at the family reunion. And
dude, I live in Mississippi. They probably need that sign in a lot more places than they have it.
Okay, and the parallel to potential points is that if I need potential points to police tanking in my fantasy league, I'll just kick people out of my league. People who tank get kicked out. It's just simple as that. And the more analytical reason for why I hate potential points is that it discourages rebuilding teams from creating depth. Because when you're creating a starting lineup and trying to win, your bench points don't matter. You're not getting points for that, and your championship has nothing to do with how many points are coming from your bench, unless there's some sort of tiebreaker, which is nonsense. But if you're trying to rebuild, you can't have a good bench because that will end up costing you. So if I'm in a potential points league, which I'm not, I'm more heavy on going strictly on top end assets to try and rebuild, which is much more difficult than going 6th to 10th round guys who I think have the potential to rise up in value. So I think that it definitely discourages having bench depth while rebuilding, and that's why it's extremely frustrating because when I'm rebuilding, I blow it all up and I try and get 10 to 12 high upside guys, and if more of those guys hit, then it's going to hurt my potential points even when I'm rebuilding.
What do you prefer, regular season record?
Probably. The most fair way to do it would probably be points, but because the other thing that I like to talk about is that I like things to line up. I don't like the fact that our draft order is different from our playoff order. When we're playing the game, we shouldn't have two different things in our minds. We should okay, I'm either trying to win or you're not tanking, or you're trying to get the number one pick. And so I think the same way that decides wins should also decide losses and should also decide where the draft order is.
See, and I'm more of the potential points for me doesn't necessarily, yes, in a way, and yeah, it does discourage tanking, okay, but for me it's more about not necessarily, I hate to use the word rewarding, but it is rewarding the worst roster with the 101. Period, right? There's no way you can get that 101 without the worst roster. You have the least potential points week to week. So I've always been a potential points guy. It's definitely my preferred way. I'm sure there's a better way out there. I'm sure someone has some complicated algorithm to quantify it. But for me, it's just the easiest way to sort it out via the tools that MFL or whomever your league side provider is. It's the easiest way to sort it out. And for me, it's all about if you have the worst roster, it's right there in the numbers. But I do think there's a discrepancy between how we determine the champion and how we determine draft order.
Yeah, and that was going to be my counterpoint, saying that at the end of the season we don't give the championship trophy to the best roster who has the highest ADP. We give it to the guy who scored the most points in their lineup. So that's just I think that there should just be the same thing across the board.
See, I've been a diehard proponent of using possible points, and I'm being slightly turned by Nathan's argument.
No.
Yeah. It would still have to go by points for me. I couldn't doing it by record to me is just stupid. But I can see the argument not so much about, not building roster depth, because if you're building roster depth with, guys you're hoping will break out, you're probably not they're not doing much for your possible points anyways. But if you're all determining, your winners through how much points they score, then why not just, decide your losers the same way? I don't think I'm decided either way. I'll probably still stick with possible points because I'm lazy and I don't like change. But I can definitely see the argument for points for at least.
I mean, yeah, I can see it. I can see any side of any argument, really, especially when you get numbers involved. But I don't know, and like you said, because you're lazy and whatever, but the simplicity of it, it's pretty damn simple for me.
Yeah, points for is pretty simple, too.
Yeah, it is.
You don't even have to go to a separate screen. You can just do it on the standing screen and just.
It is. I mean, I commission like 7, 8 leagues, and some of these are like full IDPs with 70-man rosters. I don't have time to go look at everybody's roster to see, did they play a guy that was, shouldn't have? Did they play player X over player Y, even though player Y was the clear-cut start? Things like that. I mean, obviously, if somebody's playing injured players and shit, you're going to find out that you're going to know, if they're playing guys on bye, and then you just remove them from the league. But I just think that PP is just a fair way of doing things. I mean, it's all right there, cut and dry. But, I mean, I see the other side of it. I do.
I think in IDP leagues, it's a way better idea to use possible points simply because of how random it is on a week-to-week basis. If you have strong players across the board, you can easily start the wrong one on any week, and it end up having a pretty big effect on your points for, especially in the scoring we use, where the defensive players are such a large portion of our scoring. Whereas in offense only, it's a lot more clear cut. Most of the times, your lineup decisions are going by like who's my last flex or two, and I need to figure out who I'm starting out of a group of 4 or 5. Whereas IDP, you're probably looking at 4 or 5 guys for any one starting spot if your rosters are deep enough. So possible points for me makes a lot more sense in IDP than it does in offense only.
I can see that.
All right, one sec, guys. But before we go on, let's kind of rapid fire these a little bit because we're trying to do a one-hitter at 10:15, so we've got like 20 minutes to kill. I mean, to do the rest of the pod. Just, I know you guys kind of go long sometimes, so I just wanted to put that in there.
All right, we'll skip some of the sillier questions like a fuck, marry, kill.
Yeah, no, but I have to get a candy takeout, so.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
We will definitely get there. The next one comes from Breeze at Breeze IDP. Our buddy Eric would love to hear a realistic breakdown of the Ravens receiving core with projections. Projections can burn in hell. Really, I think Kamar Aiken's probably the best bet. Not knowing what the future lies for Brashad Perriman, but Kamar Aiken, I don't know, like 75 for 1,100. I'm so just not confident in any of these numbers I just said. Tight ends are meh. It could be Max Williams, it could be Ben Watson. Fucking Dennis Pitta's apparently still alive, so I have no idea. So I'm just give me Kenneth Dixon, and I'm just gonna ignore the rest of the offense because it's sketchy. Even though I drafted Ben Watson and Max Williams in my Scott Fishbowl team.
Yeah, my outlook for the Ravens offense is I don't know. I have no clue. I think that obviously the health of Perriman is probably the top determining factor of that offense. But the one key outside of that is the tight ends and how much they'll be used in the offense. I think that they have so many of them that they're bound to be used in a multitude of ways. And so if Perriman's healthy, I think he's really the only fantasy worthwhile asset. If he's not healthy, Kamar Aiken you'll get enough targets to be, like a high-end wide receiver 3 type. But other than that, I'm pretty much avoiding all Ravens receivers other than Michael Campanaro because he's the GOAT.
So many stashed Campanaro shares.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
No, it's not.
It's totally not going to happen. But I'll hold on to it for another week or two into the season, maybe.
I stashed Josh Boyce for like 3 years, so I can hold out another year with Campanaro.
Never give up, man. But yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Just whatever, man. All right. So anyway, our next question from our buddy Waz at WazNFL. Which rookie is being too undervalued right now, and which is too overvalued? Drew?
Undervalued, I think that's hard. I'd probably say Will Fuller is probably the easy answer. I mean, he's a first-round pick, and he's almost every time going towards the later end of the first round. I think Carew is also a guy that's being undervalued, but not quite to the same extent. In terms of guys that are being overvalued, bias aside, I think Coleman's being super overvalued, but that's because I don't like him, and I think he should have been a first-round pick, and he's on a shitty offense with a shitty quarterback. But in terms of guys who are really being overvalued, I think it's Keith Marshall quite easily. He's a 7th-round running back with a guy who's fairly established. I mean, I guess, but he's a borderline camp cut, and he's going in the late 2nd, early 3rd, and that just seems insane to me.
Yeah, my undervalued, it's going to be Derrick Henry because he's the GOAT. I also like Boyd, so I mean I'm on that team with you, Drew. But I think that the more fun thing to focus on here is the overvalued, and I'd say every single day 3 running back in this year's draft has been overvalued. Paul Perkins, Kenneth Dixon, Jordan Howard. All these guys are, being projected as possible starters eventually. And, I just don't see it. I mean, Dixon, he kind of just might have it handed to him depending on the skills of Buck Allen. But
you mean
I don't see any long-term value out of the day 3 running backs, and they're being drafted in, the late 1st to, late 2nd range. Paul Perkins, I don't understand the fascination with a 5th-round running back, even with, he might have an opportunity, but, Rashad Jennings is still a thing, so.
But for how long? I mean, he's like 105. It's just so old. Him and Forsett. And Buck Allen is not going to be the determining factor on whether Kenneth Dixon gets to start. It's going to be Forsett. Buck Allen is already just so horrible. If the coaches are looking at him like he'll probably be our guy, you can bet that Joe Flacco's passing numbers are going to be super high next year.
Yeah, Fuller to me just jumps out, just screams undervalued. And it depends on who you draft with. If you draft him with me, yeah, he's not undervalued because he's not getting out of the 1st round. Same with Drew, but I've snagged him in the 2nd more often than not. And I really like Nathan's take there on the running backs. It's just such a jumbled mess. Dixon's one that really jumps out at me because you can see Dixon go like 106, 107, and I like the guy okay, but reality check, So that's kind of where I come in with it. I mean, I'm just in lockstep with you guys.
Yeah, and I mean, when I try and defend these guys, I'm talking like I'll take them in the mid-2nd because in this class, who else are you really going to take? It's all kind of just a bunch of disappointments.
Yeah, there's just nobody else. There's just nothing there.
I'm drafting Perkins on potential for some work. If it's not Jennings, it's going to be Perkins because Andre Williams is god fucking awful. Same thing with Buck Allen. It's just, and the same thing with Jordan Howard. It's just none of them have really attractive guys blocking them out of a job, so that's really the only reason I'm drafting them.
We're just trying to gaze into that running back crystal ball. Where's the opportunity going to be? I mean, hell, Wendell Smallwood's, a thing right now, and
I think that stopped being a thing already.
No, it's a thing.
Maybe I just stopped drafting so long ago.
Drew, you mentioned when we were talking about Drake how the Dolphins are definitely candidates to take a running back in 2017. I think every single team, other than maybe the Ravens, because they have that trio, are candidates to take a running back even early in 2017. Every single one that drafted a running back in the day 3 is a candidate to do it again in 2017.
Yeah, things are going to change big time next year. Big time.
Procyte's a 4th-round pick.
I think it was wasn't he like a 2nd or 3rd round?
He was a 3rd or a 4th, and I can't remember off the top of my head.
Procyte.
Procyte was a 3rd.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's day 2. I still love Procyte. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm going to lean towards those guys that can catch passes. I mean, because we probably only have one, two, maybe 3 true lead backs out of this class that fit that profile. So, I want the guy that can catch passes and stay at least somewhat relevant. And I think that's a lot of why I gravitated towards Drake. That with the draft capital. So, there's always a niche for them in today's NFL, even if they do go and draft, Leonard Fournette or Nick Chubb or Dalvin Cook or whoever, they could still get some work.
All right, so Waz also had a second question. If Tyler were a Pokemon, which would he be? And I had to think hard about this, because at first I was going for which is the angriest Pokemon I could think of. And then I decided I got a way better option. Tyler is an Almanite because he's ancient and nobody fucking likes him.
I don't even know what that means, but I agree.
It's a fossil.
I'm going to go with Geodude for Tyler.
Okay. I can dig that.
I don't speak Pokemon.
Oh, so this second question is not going to be helpful because they want you to assign a Dragon Ball Z character to me, but
Hey, Drew just died. That's cool.
Oh, well, good thing you were the one that started the call.
I have no idea what's going on now. I don't even know what. Are you into Dragon Ball Z? Do you have any idea what's going on here?
Yeah, no, I was huge into Dragon Ball Z.
See, Drew is like full on Mr. Dragon Ball Z. He tours the country playing Dragon Ball Z.
Holy crap!
And we just absolutely let him have it.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I've kind of let that go when I became an adult. But, yeah. Just give him a sec and then.
Yeah, he's going to have to edit all this crap out anyway. He died off your potential point takes. You killed him.
No, Pat's still going to claim that I don't have a good argument, so.
Oh, yeah, of course he is. That's how he rolls. You're never going to win an argument with Pat. He might, concede, I kind of see your side, but he's never going to just completely give in.
Yeah, no, but every league I'm in that has Pat, I'm either like the commish or the co-commish, so he can never do anything about it, so.
Hey, Drew.
Holy shit, we're still live. That's amazing.
Drew Gone Ball Z, you're back.
I fucking clicked the X on accident, switching between pages.
That's why I said Drew died, but whatever.
So did I miss anything interesting, or?
No, I mean, we railed on Pat a little bit more.
Good. All right, let's move on to our last question, so I don't close this again on accident. And this one comes from at.
Okay,
I did.
You gotta say that again.
At Big Perm 3313. How about some fire Oreo or candy takes from Nathan?
All right. I'll be honest. When I talked about sliding in their DMs, trying to get on the pod, the main reason why I wanted to is because I have a fire take that needs to come out. Every single candy and sweet is better kept in the freezer. There's not a single one that if you keep it in the pantry is better than if you keep it in the freezer. Fact.
That is smoking.
I don't know. I don't know.
My teeth
I
disagree with you. My teeth. My poor teeth.
I mean, if I was 12 and I still had some real chompers, I could definitely agree with you. But now I think about a frozen M&M and a little tear comes out of my eye. I'm just that's gonna snap a molar. That's happening.
What's even better is when Nathan's I don't want to come on and talk about football. I just got to get this candy take off. This is the perfect platform.
A frozen Butterfinger?
I don't know about
that. Butterfinger's trash, so I don't have to worry about it.
What?
Jesus!
You have lost your mind. What is happening here? I feel like Sticky's back here.
I had the same exact thought.
Sticky's here, Mr. Cinnamon Roll, Sticky. I mean, Butterfinger is the best value in the candy bar world.
Oh, Nathan.
It's so good.
What about Three Musketeer? You freeze the Three Musketeer?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
I'm
I'm not.
Musketeers.
I'm definitely more of a sour candy guy than a chocolate guy. And when I do chocolate, it's often M&Ms. So that's kind of why my candy takes are better frozen.
That's fair.
Right.
I mean, as long as you agree that the peanut butter M&Ms are the best.
No, false. It's peanut M&Ms.
What? No. Granted, that's also another one of those where it's like hurts my teeth. Gonna pass.
Regular M&Ms shouldn't even be in production. They serve no purpose at all whatsoever. They're just horrible. I'd rather have nothing.
Okay, so Nathan, would you qualify that as your rant, or would you like to join us in giving your first rant of the week on the Dynasty Playbook?
Let me think of something real quick.
What's grinding your gears? What's got you pissed off?
What's not
Maybe
candy
anything.
related that grinds your gears?
Oh man, I had something. Oh, okay. Here is my grinds my gears of the week. And for those who don't know, I actually have a podcast with Matt Kelly where that's half our show is what grinds my gears that week. But what grinds my gears today is the concept of hating on a sexy roster. People always talk about in Dynasty how the sexy roster doesn't score points and people shouldn't be trying to have a sexy roster. Basically, the definition of a sexy roster is having a shit ton of high ADP guys. And if you have like 10 top 100 ADP guys, that's a winning team more often than not. Sure, you're going to have the Cutterell Patterson of the world who's not going to produce for you with a third-round ADP at his peak, but more often than not, if you have a lot of guys with high ADPs, it's going to work out well for you. So stop saying sexy teams are bad because sexy just means high ADP.
I love it. I love it. Sexy roster is greater than wins, and that's a wins with a Z. I love sexy rosters.
I would like to correct one thing that you said, and that's that Cordero Patterson's ADP definitely topped out in the late second, whereas Tyler and I both are guilty of taking him.
Oh, God. I took him over Mike Evans in a 14 startup.
We did so many bad things.
I was like, return yards, bro. God, what was I doing?
You see, and it's when I see things like this, and I'm like, wait, people actually listen to our advice? Did I really? Oh, God. But
Don't worry, I'm a podcast listener. I haven't listened to a single bit of any of the advice. So
fair enough. But yeah, so that's probably gonna about do it for us. It's time to check out. You guys have any last parting shots for us?
No, just make sure to check out the Dynasty Tradecast with me, Dan, and Eric Bertzlaff, and check out Football Diehards with me and Matt Kelly, where I have my take pimple. That could have been my take pimple, but it's probably not long enough for take pimple status, so I saved it for a Dynasty Playbook rant.
Yeah, you can find Nathan all over the place, man. DLF. I did love your article on 2QBs.com, which is just a freaking awesome site, by the way.
Yeah,
but I love that article, and that falls right in line with Drew and mine line of thinking on 2QB startups. So that was really cool. So you can find Nathan all over the place. Everybody knows Nathan. Who am I kidding?
Yeah, I feel like us plugging Nathan it's kind of like that guy in your local band that's kind of trying to plug like Jimi Hendrix.
He's like, check out Metallica.
They're pretty good. But yeah, guys, if you guys have any feedback, thoughts, questions, concerns, bitches, moans, complain about the show, always feel free to hit us up. If you don't feel like being a dick and want to send it in anonymously, because that's a hard word to say, go up on the Couch Coach, where you can normally submit the questions for the show. You can actually just submit your feedback there. We'll read it all the same. And whoever keeps submitting just butt as a question, thank you. I'm not sure if it's an offer, but thank you anyways.
It's so funny.
I giggle every time.
I got an email like, hey, we got a question, check it out. Oh, it's butt.
But thanks for joining us, guys. This has been the Dynasty Playbook. I've been your host, Drew. You can find me on Twitter at DrewDotsonNFL. With me has been my co-host, as always, Tyler. You can find him on Twitter at HBOMIDP. And with us has been our awesome guest this week, Nathan Powell at NPowellFF. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week.